It's Tuesday morning. Good morning. We're reading Luke 5:27 through 32. After this, Jesus went out and saw a tax collector named Levi sitting at the tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And leaving everything, he rose and followed him. And Levi made him a great feast in his house, and there was a large company of tax collectors and others reclining at table with them. And the Pharisees and their scribes grumbled at his disciples, saying, "Why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners?" And Jesus answered them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I have come not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." So Jesus defends himself a little bit here. To share a meal with tax collectors and sinners, and tax collectors in the Jews' eyes are a special kind of sinner because they work for Rome. And so to share a meal with those people like that, those people, was a terrible thing in the eyes of the Pharisees. You shouldn't do that, Jesus. You should hang around with nice people. You should hang around with the good, righteous people like us. And Jesus says, basically, what good is that going to do? I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to the sinners who need forgiveness. Those are the people I'm looking for and sent for. In some ways, they're more fun. Those people are. And so Jesus has little time for the Pharisees at this point. The tax collectors would have been these people who, like I said, worked for Rome. And Rome said, you're going to collect this much, let's say 20% of someone's income in taxes. And that's what we demand, 20%. Well, okay. So the tax collector says, yeah, but I'm going to take 25% from these people, and I'll keep the other 5%. And so they did that over, a lot of people, and they quickly got fairly wealthy. So he could afford to throw a large feast and probably had a house big enough to do that and stuff. So that's why the tax collectors were so hated. If somebody works for the IRS, okay, we don't like the IRS in theory. No one's mad at them because they collect our taxes. It's just what they do. And you have to pay your taxes, which is a thing that everybody has to do, even though they don't want to. And so everybody tries to figure out how to save 2 cents on their taxes. So we don't have the same system. The tax collector is not getting paid by dipping into what he collects from you. They get paid by their agency, and that's funded through the government. So it's a very different system from the one that we live in. And as a consequence, they were considered sinners because they dealt with money. And they were hated by the Jews, as is evidenced here by the fact that Luke can talk about tax collectors and sinners. He hung out with tax collectors and also some sinners. So they're a special kind of sinner, and we don't like that kind. So that's a problem here. But Jesus doesn't seem to care. He calls Levi, a tax collector, to, hey, follow me, Levi. Now, Levi is called here, I think in another gospel he might be referred to as Matthew. We're not certain. There's Matthew, who sometimes in the lists of names of disciples that you see, sometimes it doesn't say Matthew, sometimes it says Bartholomew, and sometimes it says Levi. So it's quite possible that he had 2 or 3 names. Many people did in the ancient world. Many people do today. In the ancient world, though, because of the different languages, you could have a sort of a Hebrew name and a Greek name and a Roman name, and all these different names. So that was who is Levi? Is he the same as Matthew? I think so, because Matthew is a tax collector in another gospel. I think Matthew's gospel, and so you begin to sort of piece this together. As best we know, though, Levi and Matthew are the same person, and so this is the Matthew who tradition says wrote the first gospel, the first one in our New Testament, and so that's that's who he is. That's who this tax collector is, and Jesus chooses him to be a disciple. He doesn't choose the good people, the nice people, the people that you'd expect him to choose. He chooses, whoever he can find. And that tax collector, let's get him. Maybe he's good with money. Maybe he's got some money. At any rate, that's what he does. And so if you are a tax collector or a sinner or both, take heart, because Jesus came to minister to you. And that's a good thing. So have a great day. We will see you tomorrow.